What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is Supergirl Season 6, Episode 4, Lost Souls. So this one was just another, whatever type of episode. Because it still feels like a lot of stuff is happening just to set up for these speeches that have to be made to make sure that we, the audience, know exactly how we should be feeling about all these characters. Because, a lot of this stuff feels like it should be solved a lot simpler than it is, especially considering who's involved, but things have to go wrong or else show would be over pretty quickly. So, yeah, when Kara goes and finds the mirror and she and her dad and Nixley are all setting stuff up, all I could think is something's going to go wrong. And then whenever Nixley started not being able to use her powers, I'm like, okay, so she is a bad guy then, right? Like, this is way too coincidental. And then sure enough, she was the one. She set up everything. She's the one that, created those bad guys that attacked her dad. She was pretending that she didn't have her magic the whole time. It just, to me, what's odd about it is that one scene where Kara's asleep and she's just sitting there looking all like she's not sure what she wants to do, and then she sees her little orb thing, and she decides to smash her wrist cuff or whatever. At that point, I'm like, okay, but she wouldn't have done that if she wouldn't be looking in that way. Like, maybe she can try this and maybe this will work. It seems like it was more play acting for the audience than anything, and I hate it whenever shows or movies or anything does that. Whenever they show us something not off screen, but they show a character who turns out to be a bad guy in the end. They show us something that they're doing on their own that makes it seem like they're not the bad guy. Good example, Hans from Frozen. The look that he gives Anna after the first time he runs into her when he's up under the canoe and he looks at her and he's like, huh. Like he actually is in love with her. He wouldn't do that if the whole time they plan for him to not be the bad guy and not be just trying to use her to essentially take over her kingdom. But as we know, there was a lot of changes made to the story of Frozen, and so that scene was, I guess, left in because, well, either they wanted to make it more of a surprise, or again, it was something that was decided later on whenever they realized Elsa was gonna be the good guy in the end and all of that. But yeah, I don't know. Just scenes like that, they kind of piss me off because I'm like, you just did that for our benefit. You did that to trick us specifically. You showed us this scene that happened all on this character's own. They didn't have to act this way, but they did, so that way the audience would be surprised whenever they turn out to be evil. And it's annoying to me. But yeah, because of that, Kara destroying the mirror, it makes it to where, oh, well, she can't go home now. Now she has to find another way home, or more than likely, everybody on Earth has to find a way to get to her, because if she did it by herself, then they wouldn't be able to have some speech at the end about how important friendship and everybody on her team is. Because we have to do that at some point too, especially since this is the final season. I'm sure there's going to be so many speeches made at the end of this about how important friends and family are and all that. But yeah, everything to do with the phantoms in this episode kind of felt like it was just happening. Magan could sense where things were, but she couldn't at the same time. And Nia could sense some things about where the life essences were being held, but couldn't sense exactly where it is. Just so whenever they build this thing, they can find out where Kara is using her DNA from the little recording thing she left. Which, in my mind, I'm thinking, is there no DNA of her left at all? Like, that's it, is the little recording device that she left? That's the only chance you have to put it into this device to find her. That's it. It seems a little odd to me, but the reason why Nia and Magan could only sort of sense, but not fully sense, where this life essence thing is because they needed to use this device, which means they have to sacrifice finding Kara for now so they could do this. And it all feels set up just for this sort of, I don't know. Again, it feels like it's set up so they can make these speeches. Alex can make this speech to Lena about how important it is that they save other people, before they save Kara, and how disappointed Kara would be, and blah, 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 blah. It's so done. It's been done to death in this show, and it feels like they are not letting up anytime soon. So, I will say one funny little thing. That's just a little insight into how my brain works. Because Alex is given this dramatic speech. She's like, Kara would not be happy. She came back and she found out that we let thousands, no, hundreds of thousands. And in my mind, because she paused after hundreds, I'm like, please just say hundreds. Please just go from thousands to hundreds. Because that would be so funny and so, what's the word I'm looking for? Indicative of the writing on this show. That they are that dumb to think that hundreds is more. But no, they said hundreds of thousands. But just for a minute, I'm like, ooh, are they that dumb? Please tell me they're that dumb. Damn it. Let's see. Nia, her whole thing, seeing the high school and all that. Also, the fact that they're gonna have to go back in time somehow to high school with Kara and Alex. I don't know how they're planning on doing that. Especially since I just watched an episode of The Flash where they had him travel back in time for a second. Because again, the whole idea of Crisis is that the multiverse that was created from, all these different time traveling things was destroyed. So to keep it in one, that means time traveling should no longer exist. Which I do find kind of funny, because that's the case, then what about some of the time traveling that's already happened? Or like, how is that not creating all these branches and stuff and whatever? But no, it's weird to me that we're suddenly talking about time travel on this show, because this show typically doesn't deal with that. So I hope they have a good answer at least. But yeah, her whole dilemma right now, not being able to read her dreams and stuff, I don't know. I mean, on the one hand, yeah, the high school is a very vague thing. But on the other hand, it feels like, again, she went from being able to interpret her dreams about Lex like that, and then the next episode, like, she's having trouble interpreting stuff, and she's just so, kind of like Alex was. She tried one time to get Kara back and then instantly fell into this depression, like she's never going to get her back. With Nia, it's kind of the same way. She's having trouble understanding this dream, which she's only had twice now, of Alex and Kara in high school. She's had this dream twice, and she just instantly goes into, I don't know what it's about. I'm never going to understand dreams anymore. I'm just done. I can't do it. I'm so bad at what I do. Why? I mean, I know why. It's because they want people to give her a pep talk to get her back in the fight, because that's what they always do on the show. But why? From a character standpoint, why are characters giving up so easily? These are characters that have done the impossible multiple times over. And I'm pretty sure they mentioned that at some point. Or was that Flash? Are these shows blending together? But you try a couple times on something and it doesn't work, and just instantly, I can't do this. I can't do this. It's just, I'm not good enough. I'm never going to be good enough. We're never going to do that. Like, seriously. If they give up this easily every single season, bad guys would always win. Now, granted, I'm pretty sure they probably have done this sort of like moping. What's it called? It's like the giving up section, because I've seen it done in movies and other shows and stuff where you have everybody fighting and then all of a sudden some new thing happens at the end and we're like, it's over, we're never gonna do it, and then all of a sudden something happens, we're like, oh wait, but we can do it. It happens a lot. It feels like, though, we've had that happen multiple times in this season alone now, and it's getting pretty old pretty quickly, so we need to move on from that type of story real quick. But yeah, I mean, all in all, just another bland sort of episode. So on to the next one. I'll see you there. And now episode 5, Prom Night. Oh boy. Ooh, these 2 episodes are probably gonna be my least favorite of the season. So, for one, I will go ahead and just say I was incorrect last episode. I forgot that, yes, of course, there was time travel before. I don't know why I forgot about it. But yeah, obviously, Brainy comes from the future. And, he was part of that Legion of Heroes or whatever that Mon-El formed. And that's where Win is now. Oh, excuse me, obviously. So, yeah, I forgot about that. I forgot they had the time traveling ship. But, yeah, this episode. Let's just talk about it because literally all it is just Brainy and Nia getting to know young Alex and Kara. And oh, by the way, that one friend that was killed, yeah, he's no longer killed anymore because we need Kara to have a love interest in this, I guess, somehow, even though we know that she's not going to end up with him because she doesn't in the future. And that's just, I don't know. Like, they shouldn't be able to change the timeline because if they could, then again, that would create multiple branches in the path, and that's what Crisis was supposed to keep from happening. So if they don't do that, if they let the branches happen, if they let time change, well then I mean that changes everything. That means Crisis was completely pointless. And while I wouldn't put it past the writers of this show to say, you know what, Brainy and Nia are that important that their whole quest is important enough to completely rewrite what we did in Crisis. Totally makes sense. I don't think they're going to do that. But I don't know how they can change all of the stuff that they've mucked up by this point. I mean, they've directly interacted with Kara, with Alex. They interacted with these aliens that I guess Kara helped catch at this point, which doesn't make too much sense. Kat Grant is somehow involved, a younger version of her, obviously. But she's somehow involved, and she's trying to track them down for some reason. I don't even know if that is gonna do anything in the long run. I don't know why she's even there, because she's had no effect on the plot so far. It's all so. I feel like all of this is so pointless. Like, what's the mission? It's to get Kara's DNA, and then get back. Okay, so what's all this stuff in between? Am I supposed to feel tense? Am I supposed to feel worried that they're gonna change the timeline? Because again, if they do, then guess what? Again, Crisis gets redone. Crisis is completely pointless. Oliver's sacrifice, totally pointless if they mess up the timeline. And that's the thing. When Barry went back, it was almost, it felt like it was something that happened anyway. Like, they even cut back to that one scene where we saw, what was it? Nash Wells? We saw Nash, like, look over and, like, oh. And now we see, it's because he saw Timeless Wells there with Barry. So technically this is something that always happened. And we saw Barry try to change it but then didn't because he realized how important it was to keep the timeline intact. So I feel like Supergirl is not going to be the show that's going to muck up the whole timeline thing and mess up what Crisis did. I feel like that's the case. So all I'm sitting here thinking while this episode is happening is all of this is pointless. It's literally they're going to come back, they're going to get Kara's DNA, and that's the whole point of it, right? So why do I care about this whole, oh gosh, guys, the timeline is going to change. Oh no, what are we going to do? Oh, the timeline might be in danger. Oh no, oh crap. It's not going to be in danger at the end of this. I know this. The only thing that seems to be changing in this episode is we're seeing Nia start to, I guess, get a little bit more grasp on her powers. But even then, like, after she finally realizes what her dream means, the very next thing that happens is she's like, well, I'm still not sure how to interpret my dreams, though. I need help with it. So she just figured out what her dream meant, and then immediately they go back on it, and they're like, no. But she needed, like, some guidance. Like, she needed this to see this one alien that, she found out essentially has a zoo, and then that's what pieced it together. But she could have figured it out way before then, right? Like, she should have been able to, right? I mean, I don't know. Maybe. Also, am I the only one that saw... Obviously, I don't know much about the different types of cats, so I looked at it, and because it was pink, my mind went to Pink Panther, especially because they made a Scooby-Doo reference. And I don't know. That's what was in my mind at that moment, but obviously it turned out to be more of a cougar. But I don't know. It feels very pointless to me. And were they that desperate for an episode, and were people that desperate to see more of Brainy and Nia that they're just like, yes, give them their own 2 episodes, please. I want them to have their own separate episodes from everybody in the cast. It's got to be just them on a mission in the past with younger versions of some of the main characters. That's it. Please, I love Brainy and Nia so much. Please give me more. Was anybody asking for that? Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, Brainy at times can be okay. Nia's been mostly insufferable, though. So, was anybody asking for this? Also, was it... I am curious to find out, was it the actor or was it the direction? Who was it that decided, hey, guy who plays Brainy, we want you to show off? Because, yeah, the whole baseball thing, and then he starts doing push-ups and all that just felt like, you know what? He can do some of this stuff. He can do, like, the cool bat, like, messing around with the bat. He did the swing and, like, flipped the bat mid-swing. He did all of that stuff. He starts doing push-ups and then push-up with a clap in between. I'm like, okay, dude, we get it. We get it. You're very strong. You're very talented. Can we get back to the story, please? And then all of a sudden, Nia breaks out singing 9 to 5. I'm thinking, what is going on? What are we doing here? Oh, man. And it's a two-parter. That's the thing. If this had been its own episode, I probably would have just been like, man, that sucked. All right, moving on. But this is a two-parter. We have to come back into the next episode, and we have to finish up this essential story. Okay, all right. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna power through this. I'm so tired. I feel like I'm about to fall asleep, but I need to power through. I need to finish this review. Here we go. I'll see you there. And finally, episode 6, Prom again. Because the first prom night was so good, right? We gotta do it again. I mean, honestly, so much of this is just things going wrong, and then they fix it all in the end. And again, what was the point of all of this? To get some of Kara's DNA. Did they do it at the end? Yes. Did they mess up the timeline at all? No. 2 episodes we spent, though. The only thing that changed, the only thing besides getting, what they came for, the DNA, the only thing that changed is Nia can now bring out some of her dreams. Like, what was the term they used for it? Like lucid dreaming, I guess? I don't know. But that's the only thing that changed. She got a new power. Did we learn anything from the flashbacks? Not really. Aside from the fact that apparently Kenny was alive now in this new timeline, and apparently Kara told him. Did I miss something? Because I don't think he knew last time. So apparently Kara was a lot more open about her identity, despite the fact that Alex very clearly was like, no, you shouldn't be doing all this. You don't want to expose your identity, all your superpowers. Even though she told her best friend / kind of boyfriend. Okay. And is Kenny going to come back? Because I thought for sure they were setting up Carr and William. So why are we seeing any of this stuff with Kenny right now? Why are we spending a full, 5 minutes having this emotional moment between Kara and Kenny as she's deciding to go off on her own life and he's deciding to go off on his own life? Most of the people watching your show are probably young adults, which means most people know by that point that high school romance, this happens a lot. So this is nothing new. You're not giving us any new stories. Maybe you'll get some of the dumber, more emotional people who just recently had that moment where they had to split from a high school crush because you guys were going in different directions. Maybe those people will be like, oh my gosh, I just went through this. This show seized me. But that'll probably be 5 people watching the show feel that way. The rest of us are sitting here why is my time being hijacked with this stupid stuff? So outside of all of the fact that all of this was pointless, outside of getting Kara's blood and Nia getting a new power, the time travel in this show is maddening. Because never before have I seen it where you travel back in time, you do some stuff, it doesn't work, so you just go back a little bit again and try something else this time. Because you know what that screams to me? That screams multiple timelines. That screams Crisis is no longer... Crisis is pointless now because you created multiple timelines. There's always there was already the one where you went back in time and you changed some stuff slightly, and you went back in time again and changed some more stuff. You're creating multiple branches here, and yet, probably won't see any repercussions for it, because at the end of it they're like, no, everything's still the same. We're all good. So what about the one timeline that you just left and went back in time to change? What about that timeline? That timeline just goes away? I don't think that's how that works. I don't... God. I really don't understand why right after Crisis, right after you took away the idea of the multiverse, why on earth would you go right back to that? You go right... I mean, The Flash immediately the next season has Barry decide he wants to time travel. Supergirl, immediately the next season, they have to go back in time and they end up changing a lot of stuff in the past. Like, that's two of your 3 or 4 shows left in the Arrowverse that immediately said, you know what? I know Crisis was kind of a big deal, and I know Crisis kind of made it to where we should keep everything in one timeline, and that's sort of it, because that's what Oliver's Sacrifice did, is he created one singular timeline and no others. Screw that. We like the idea of being able to go back and change things, because then we can rewrite whatever we need. We can write ourselves out of a hole. We can have time travel be a thing all the time, so that if we write ourselves into a corner, we can say, time travel, we'll fix it. It just screams lazy, is what it does. And it's so frustrating. So frustrating whenever, I mean, not that I've been impressed with this writing team for this show. I don't know how much the writing team changed over the seasons, but yeah, I mean, most of these episodes have been written very poorly. Most of the time, there's not much thought put into it. It doesn't feel very clever in its setup. It's a very straightforward show. So I've never really been that impressed with the writing. This is still on another level of just laziness. That you feel like you still need to have time travel, even though you had this big event that ended one of your shows. Like, the other shows are just like, screw that. We're still going to time travel because we want to. It makes it easier for us if we ever get stuck. If we ever get stuck into a hole that we don't know how to get ourselves out of, we'll have an easy solution. Time travel. So yeah. This show is, I mean, again, still not nearly as bad as Batwoman, and that's saying something, because this show is pretty bad. But yeah, I'm still not enjoying it. I feel like this season has just kind of gotten muddier and muddier as it's gone on, and yeah, it's a little frustrating, but hey, I've gotten used to it with Supergirl at least. Like, it's popped up with a couple decent stories over the past couple seasons, but I know the show overall is still crap. Like, the writing is still bad, the acting is still not that great, and the action scenes are pretty poor. Yeah. That's about what I expect. So anyways, all that being said, I'm ready for bed. So, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on these 3 episodes? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Supergirl reviews. I will see you guys at the next one. Peace out.